Now at 6, multiple firefighters are recovering after a car hit a fire truck in Hartford. We have the details on that coming up.
North Haven's first selectman is sending a strong message to the community after a street takeover in this intersection over the weekend injured 2 people. I'm Julia LeBlanc, and we'll have the details coming up.
People here in Southington are worried that their fire department is being neglected. I'm Stefan Reels, and coming up, I'll share how leaders are planning to fix the problem and how the town is reacting.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
And good morning. Granted, it was probably a short work week for a lot of you out there, but a Friday is still a Friday, and we're at Friday. Good morning. I'm Tim Lammers.
A Friday is a Friday. I'm fully
Friday.
on board with that. I'm Keith McGilvery. We're glad you're with us as we get going at 6 o'clock.
This is the sports guy in Tim coming out. Hey, a win's a win, team.
A win's a win. It's a tautology, but it's one that I'm fine with.
I was here all week. It was a good week, but I'm still welcoming the weekend. Good morning, Matt.
Amen, brothers. Good morning to you. Nice to see you at home. If you haven't been outside yet, yes, it's colder. It is still, in the grand scheme of things, manageable, but colder temperatures are still taking over for now. Weekend. There's your really low temperatures, especially into early next week. Still watching for a storm on Monday that right now appears to be still a miss. We'll talk about that coming up. Couple of clouds out there, nothing really to worry about. Got a west wind, lake effect snow, Syracuse all the way down, just barely into the Catskills, not like yesterday. Temperatures now, I got no problem with this. 33 in Hartford, 35 in New Haven, 31 in Groton. Still have a bite to the winds, 7 to 15 miles an hour sustained, wind gusts going a little higher than that. So dress for the teens to the mid-20s out there this morning. Parents, as you get your elementary school students to the bus on this Friday later on today. Dress for the 20s pretty much all day long. The numbers are kind of a little more steady because the winds are slowly backing off. So that's certainly some good news there, although we're not clear of the winds just yet. 31 now, 38 later on for the high schoolers as we get a little sunshine mixing in with some clouds in the afternoon. Weekend, quiet. We'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes. Let's see if the roads are quiet from the woman who screams quiet.
I scream quiet?
That doesn't really work, does it? No.
You can't. How does that work?
It doesn't work. I just said it does not work. How does it work? I just said it does not work.
It doesn't work.
Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, Matt. How are
you? Clearly not awake yet.
Yeah, no, same. All right, here at 6:02, almost 6:03, things are looking good across the board here. No major delays to tell you about at this hour. So we're just going to take a live look outside over in Hartford. 84 east and westbound running smoothly this morning out by 46 and 45. Over in Meriden, Route 15, where you meet I-91. Both directions look good. And Hartford drive times through the capital city once you reach it. No major delays. Back to you.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Let's get you an update on a story we first brought you last night. Multiple firefighters were hurt after a car and a fire truck collided in Hartford.
You're seeing a bit of the aftermath here on the big board behind us. Fox 61's Lindsay Kane is at the scene with what we know this morning.
Well, good morning. 4 firefighters and 1 other person were taken to the hospital after a car hit a Hartford fire truck outside the fire station on Main Street. Now, luckily, fire officials say that everyone is expected to recover. But again, this happened around 10 o'clock last night here on Main Street. The car involved in that crash appeared totaled. Fire officials haven't released any more information on the crash or the potential cause of that crash. Police were on scene last night and closed the southbound lane to tow both the car and the fire truck involved. Now, again, 5 people in total were taken to the hospital, all with non-life-threatening injuries. The cause of the crash is still under investigation, so you can stick with us on air, online, and on Fox 61 Plus as we continue to learn more. In Hartford, Lindsay Kane, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Lindsay. 6:04. The topic of fire department staffing stirred up emotions last night, Tim. This in Southington.
Yeah, and as Fox 61's Stefan Reels reported, those concerns have only grown since 2 firefighters made a mayday call at a house fire last week, only to find out there was no backup for them outside.
Since the fire on Howard Avenue the day after Christmas, concerns were growing here in Southington about potential stations closing and budget cuts. And at Thursday's Florida Fire Commissioners meeting, leaders here said that they saw the problem and were going to take steps to fix it. However, the concern still remains for people here in Southington who worry it's not going to be enough.
And I expect more protection for my tax dollars.
Anxiety at a peak for people living in Southington. A packed Board of Fire Commissioners meeting Thursday night revealed how many people were upset about the current conditions at the Southington Fire Department. Conditions many called negligent, with not enough firefighters to properly keep a growing town safe.
You have to provide enough services for everybody, not just for the few elite people. We are important, and our lives are important.
These guys are doing a tremendous job with little you are giving them.
That the commission does not, has not, and will not support the reduction of staffing or services, and we recognize a need.
The same night, the board passed its operating budget and announced 4 new firefighters would be hired, 1 through the town and 3 more through potential SAFER grant funding, which would eventually be funded by the town. While some were encouraged by the decisions made, others say it wouldn't be enough, with looming department retirements and declining volunteer firefighter rates.
SFD cannot spend another 30 years at late 1990 staffing levels.
I come before you today with a matter of grave concern. Let this incident serve not just you as a wake-up call, but as an irrefutable testament to why our firefighters need optimal resources and staffing to do their job.
Southington Town Council member Jack Perry took aim at the board, claiming actions which took place away from the public eye could potentially close a fire station in town and leave people at risk.
These discussions should never have occurred in secrecy, far from the public's watchful eye, and without the input of our first responders.
By the end of the evening, the message from people here in Southington was largely the same, in that more needs to be done. In fact, we saw several people say that they were going to take it upon themselves to raise the extra money to hire additional firefighters. But as for the SAFER grant to hire those 3 additional firefighters, that application now needs to go ahead of the town manager and the town council to vote to accept or not. But for now, in Southington, Stephen Reels, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, in New Orleans this morning, 16 people are still in hospitals being treated after being hurt in a terrorist attack on Bourbon Street. 8 of those 16 are still in intensive care. Overall, 14 people were killed and 30 were hurt when a man plowed a rented truck right through a crowd on Bourbon Street there on New Year's morning. Investigators said the driver acted alone. And despite being a U.S.-born Army veteran, they said he had been radicalized by the Islamic terror group ISIS. And that being said, they're still trying to find the exact motive for the attack. We know Bourbon Street reopened yesterday, but Homeland Security officers are patrolling the streets. New security barriers are in place. And New Orleans Police Superintendent said the city will be safer going forward.
People did not die in vain. As a result, we will be a safer city. We will be a safer country.
And we said Bourbon Street reopened. That happened at noon yesterday, about 4 hours before the postponed Sugar Bowl was eventually played nearby. And as you can see, the tributes to the victims popped up almost immediately. That man was painting a big blue wooden cross. This woman unwrapping some flowers and placing them up against a wall. Others held a moment of silence. Now, one of the 14 people who died has a Connecticut connection. 27-year-old Martin Besh. He was known as Tiger. He went to the Loomis Chaffee School in Windsor as a postgraduate student in 2016. The school posted on its website that Besh was a member of the football team and went on to play for Princeton University.
6:09, we are learning more about the suspect who parked a Tesla Cybertruck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas before it exploded right on New Year's Day. He was an Army Green Beret who was on leave from duty overseas. The bed of the Cybertruck that exploded was loaded with gas containers and fireworks. Investigators believe the man inside the car was Matthew Livelsberger, who shot and killed himself before the detonation of the vehicle. Investigators say the truck was rented in Denver using the Turo app, which is the same app used by New Orleans terrorist suspect Shamsuddin Jabbar. The FBI says right now there is no definitive link between the two situations and that both men acted alone. If you or someone you know is dealing with a crisis, there is help. You can call the or text the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 988-24/7 to be connected with someone who can help. And in the aftermath of the New Orleans and Las Vegas explosions, the Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection asks people to download the CT Safe app to report any suspicious activity they see. It is available for Apple and Android users, but if you have an emergency, you should always call 911 first.
Well, we have seen street takeovers all over the country. This one has a ring of fire in it. And the latest street takeover was in North Haven, where 2 people were hurt over the weekend. Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc talked to state and local leaders who both said they're getting fed up.
This intersection here on Montouise Ave near the I-91 North on-ramp here in North Haven is very busy. Luckily, though, it was not. At 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, that's when a large group of people gathered in the middle of the street, lit a ring of fire, and ended up hitting 2 people with their car.
It's crazy how kids are getting out of control, but not only kids, people are.
Iris Montalvo is reacting to this video. Posted on social media by North Haven police. They say this street takeover happened on Saturday at around 2 a.m. in the Montouise Ave intersection near I-91 North. In the video, you can see a white Dodge Charger doing donuts around a ring of fire with people in the middle, recording the whole thing. 2 spectators in the outer circle got hit. Those 2 men in their 20s were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. They got lucky, Montalvo says, but she knew someone who wasn't as lucky in a similar situation about a decade ago.
I'm telling you, on Longworth, like 10 years ago, a friend of ours was just watching, and the car that was speeding hit him and killed him. Instantly killed them.
The driver in this scenario got away, but First Selectman Michael Frieda says police are determined to find them and others involved.
The feeling is this: they could run, but they're not going to be able to hide because we're disgusted and fed up.
Frieda and others have joined in on a regional task force to stop this behavior, which is ramping up across the state.
At our level, at the local level, every single mayor and first selectman is on board with this.
But on the state level, Frieda says they need more help from lawmakers.
Think about this. When there's bad behavior, if there's no significant consequences, in this case there will be, the bad behavior continues.
It's something State Senator Paul Ciccarella says his colleagues are focused on. In the past 5 years, they've created new laws to increase police partnerships to crack down on takeovers. But as the ranking member of public safety, Ciccarella says more needs to be done.
That we have to be a little bit tougher on crime. I know it's not the most popular thing to say, and I'm not saying, lock them up and throw away the key, but we need to hold individuals accountable for committing crimes.
Now, police say they are looking for the 2016 white Dodge Charger seen in that video in the center of this incident, which they say drove away shortly afterward. If you saw anything, you're asked to please reach out. We are in North Haven. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.